Intro song done. On Deafin on Discord done. And
Aw.
Scuff transition on OBS also done. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Neon Podcast. We're back to being a VTuber on the episodes. Why? Because look right here. There's someone new. It's a new VTuber. See, when it's a VTuber and I'm using my model, and stuff like that. Look, we even gotta bring back Deskun. That's what we do. Bring back
Oh no, not
Deskun.
Deskun.
Deskun always comes back because everyone knows when your VTuber model's in the middle of the screen, there's a continuity error when your body's half missing.
Hey, I have a bottom half, so I could be standing. But
I mean, I me too, but then it'd be a little weird.
yeah, it would be a little weird.
It'd be a
It's
little
fair.
weird.
It's
It's
fair.
okay. Yeah, Have you ever seen a podcast just straight up just standing? Every podcast
No.
clip I've ever seen, everyone's on like a couch, a computer
Yeah,
chair.
because you want to be comfy when you're like sitting down talking about stuff all the time. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, I've seen like hot tub podcasts, in a pool, but like, they're still sitting in it. They're not.
Yeah.
I've seen laying down podcasts, but never standing podcasts. That's weird.
Oh my god, I can't. I couldn't. I couldn't watch one of those. Just sitting there laying down. I couldn't. I can't take it seriously.
And that's the point. That's the point of podcasts, to not take them seriously. But
Exactly.
anyways, before we get into laying down in bed and not taking anything seriously, we have a new guest, as you can tell, and you've heard their voice. Would you like to introduce yourself, person with many colors of ears, wings? Who/what are you?
Good question. So, hello everyone. My name is AviCatBird. I am a DID. Well, I'm getting rid of a certain thing, but I am a trans VTuber. I am a variety streamer, so I do a bunch of games from Apex all the way down to Riot Games, Valve, League of Legends, rhythm games, that kind of stuff. And on top of that, I make some interesting other content, which we might get into. We'll see. But
Ooh, ooh. Is it
yeah,
is that kind of content gonna be talked about during this episode or not? Or is
maybe,
it too
well,
secretive?
maybe. No. I've talked about it with my chat, so
Okay.
I think I can talk about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. We'll get into it when we get into it, of course, when things get
Yeah.
into it naturally. So,
I guess finish up the introduction. I guess I forgot some things. I
mhm.
am a Phoenix catbird mix,
Ooh.
so that's why you see wings on the back here. Basically just protecting everybody um from any danger.
Ooh, wonderful. Protect me if I need protection.
Mhm.
Maybe. I don't
Mhm.
know.
Exactly.
Maybe I want to be the one in distress. Help,
Already
Avi.
here. Already here.
Deskun is attacking me.
Oh no! Do I need to get? Do I need to get the angry? Do I need to? Do I need to protect you?
No,
Do I
no.
need to burn this table?
Oh God, not,
Do I need to burn Deskun?
not yet, not yet, not yet.
Okay. Okay.
Deskun's
Okay.
all right. Deskun's all right. Okay, you can burn them later. So,
Okay.
um,
Sounds good.
and yes, so there's a lot of stuff to unpack because
Mhm.
for me, as my hosting the podcast and bringing you on, we've had like, I wouldn't say minimal interaction, but as far as
Minimal.
me,
Very
yeah,
minimal.
pretty minimal for considering someone who would be on my podcast, right? I'm not saying that's not unusual. I've definitely had that a lot more recently, especially with a lot more VTubers. And hello, everyone coming from AV's chat and community. Thank you for supporting, coming on through. But for me, right, and just for
Mhm.
anyone, there's always somewhere to start, right? Let's start
Yeah.
off with the name AviCatBird. So you said Phoenix Cat.
Yeah.
Is that an
Mhm.
actual like mythical creature, or was that were you spawned where
Yeah.
like Donkey and the dragon from Shrek and they had donkey
Yeah.
dragon babies? Like what how did you come to be? How did you spawn this you?
Yeah. So AV Catbird is a name that I came up with. First of all, aviation. I've always loved like watching birds and stuff like that. So and flying.
Hmm.
So aviation. So AV for sure. So I grabbed that from there. But on top of that, the last part is catbird, which is an actual bird in real life. Um, Basically, it makes cat noises when it calls to distract its prey. To say like, oh, there's an actual cat around to scare around like the predators who are trying to grab their eggs or trying to attack them. So I
Oh.
put them together, and I've always been fascinated by the phoenix and how rebirth, especially for being trans, being like pushing past my old self and making a new self. So that's why I became a phoenix. So
Oh, okay.
that's like a personal level detail of my story, but.
Nice. I like that. I like how there's just a lot of like even just in your name, then incorporated into your design. So
Mhm.
for your design and stuff like and your name, right? Was that something that you came up with recently, or was it something that you always knew you wanted to have in like your design and in your name, right? Because I know some people
Yeah.
would either try to rebrand and be like, "Oh, start from something completely complete scratch," and not necessarily, have like the biggest personal influence. They're just like, "Oh, I just like this design. This is my flavor of the month, flavor of the year. So this is what I'm gonna look like. This is what I'm gonna name myself." For some examples, obviously, it's not everyone does that, but yeah, I mean, for you, was it always something that you knew you wanted to call yourself and look like as far as your model went?
At first, I was for a while. Oh god, my whole name was awful. We don't want to talk about it. But it was like the classic gamer name for a while, and then I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to do VTubing. Always wanted to like be a streamer for a while, and I was like, you know what? I need to think of a cute name, something fresh, something cute, and something that's like describing of me.
Hmm.
And so I was like, okay, what did I put together? So I got it in a call with my best friend who still watches to my content but lurks all the time. Got in the call with her and said, okay, let's bring up some names. And we talked about how I like birds, and we talked about like this rebirth of mine.
Hmm.
And so the name came to be. Um, but I've been doing my old name was Reeps McGee. That was the worst name ever. Um, Reeves McGee was like a combination of like my two favorite characters from Overwatch before one of them got renamed.
Right. I know which one. I played
hmm
Overwatch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I used to do that, and I was like, you know what, no more. But for my design overall, no, I've known since the beginning of how exactly I wanted to look, how I exactly wanted to have in the background, and kind of like display myself. So I've always known how to. I got it drawn up way before as an OC idea, and I talked to my artist and said, "Hey, can we make this OC like an actual thing now?" And we
Oh.
got together and we talked about it, and she just got into modeling and rigging and said, "You know what? I want to take up this as a personal project." And
Oh,
so
wow.
I am her first model, so I'm her first kid, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be her first model kid.
Yo, that's your friend's first? That's actually really, really nice for someone's first.
Yeah, she made her own. She made her own for first, and then she was like, you know what? I wanted to open commissions, and I've known her since she ever started drawing, and I supported her
Oh.
art for so long, and she was like, it's only natural that I help you start on your VTuber journey. So she just said, "You know what? I'll give you a huge discount and I'll work with you with anything." And we got together and kind of just started discussing about how my VTuber's gonna look. So yeah,
Yo, that's so awesome. That's like that means like you two go way back then, right?
yeah, we go way back. I actually funny story. I met her from a very lewd Genshin server because she used to draw lewd Genshin art. Um, and so I also followed her content, and she started streaming just recently. So and she's doing really well, and she's growing as fast as I am, and she's doing really well.
Yeah, that's so wholesome. Well, other than, the lewd art, but everything else about
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
it. Okay, cool. So then, what made you like want to become a VTuber, right? Because I would say
Yeah.
VTubing didn't really pop off into like mainstream internet until
Mhm.
what, like 2019 at the earliest.
2020.
2020 was the biggest wave, obviously.
Yeah.
Right around the same time COVID hit, so coincides. So for you, what got you into VTubing in the first place? You just thought it was
Yeah.
cool? Did you someone drag you into the rabbit
Mhm.
hole? You saw a cute anime
So
person and was like, "Who is this?"
yeah, so this is actually a funny story how it came to be, but at first I hated VTubers. I hated them. And I didn't understand because my friend said, "Oh, I'm watching Guragara," right? I was like, "Oh God, not this like Hollow Live, whatever." Now I'm in the hole too. Fuck, they got me in there. But I actually that's the funny part of it is like I just didn't understand it at first. I thought it was like, why is there a person like just being this fake character and not like representing themselves? And then I started watching their content and they were like identifying with their character because they didn't want to be themselves.
Mm.
And I saw so much inspiration from that because of my own personal journey. I was like, well, shit, maybe I need to do this. And so, at first I was I started streaming back like a year ago in 2023. And at first I was a PNG tuber and I had, loved those days and I had an amazing time. But I was like, you know what? I want to look up to, those people who are having fun with all these cute models and cool models and stuff like that. And I was like, I went down the rabbit hole of watching Bao and Cinder and all those other really cool high-end VTubers and just like
Hmm.
saying like I want to be there. Um, but my streaming person who got me into streaming was Pleb. Do you know Pleb Gamer?
I know of them. I don't think I've maybe
Yeah,
like interacted them with maybe like the super big
once or
collab
twice.
if they were there, but yeah, not
Hmm.
I don't know if they even know I exist, but I know they exist.
Yeah, exactly. And so she actually got me into streaming. Like we know each
Mm.
other from IRL, and it's actually funny. The first stream I ever did was a what was it called, a cooking stream when she was still doing flesh tubing for a little
Oh,
bit.
okay.
And um so yeah, we did that for a while, and then she said, "Oh, I'm gonna be late because of she was picking up extra groceries, and she said I didn't want to stream late. So how about you start streaming for me?" And I'm like, "What? Huh?" Uh, and so I started streaming, and I had way too much fun, and I was like, "You know what? I need to do this. I need
Oh,
to do
that's
this."
awesome. That's so
And push
awesome.
towards making my own content and stuff like that.
Nice, nice.
So that's how I got into streaming and VTubing.
You know,
Now I'm just a VTubing watching machine, and I would support everybody that I meet, to be honest. I have too many friends.
I mean, hey, it's how it all starts, especially when you're
Mhm.
your own content creator on the platform. I feel like this ends up happening, especially when
Yeah.
because being part of community where people aren't streamers, like that's cool and you get to interact with them. But when let's say 50% of the people you meet, if not more, are also streamers, it's like, oh, there's a lot of people to meet. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people to interact with. So I'm like,
Right.
even now, I'm still a bit overwhelmed because I'm just like, oh, let's see who's live. Oh, there's like 25 channels live. Oh God.
I know, right? So, like, for example, like, just a couple weeks ago, I did the Fall Girls collab with Loyally. I got invited to that.
Hmm.
And I was like, I came in and everybody was like, I know like two people. And I sat there and I counted out. And it's like, out of the 37 people, I knew 12. Everybody else was new. I
Right,
was like,
right.
holy shit, there's so many people to meet and to collab with and do. And it's just like, holy, I haven't even touched the surface about like so many channels that I have never seen before. And honestly, I love it. I love meeting new people and I love doing new content with them and even just doing simple collabs of even just talking off a stream and just getting to understand their story. And that's like what makes me happy. is just doing streaming and just talking to new people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, meeting new people has always been such an exciting thing, especially when we all have like just this common ground, right? It's like, oh yeah,
Mm,
we're streamers, we're content creators, and obviously PNG or just VTubers, right? We're all some sort of tuber here. Um,
hmm.
but and I felt the same way when Loyally did um the first Fall Guys collab, and then I was a part of that one. That was like
Oh yeah.
midway last year or something. Um,
Yep, I remember.
and then what I was just like, oh my god, I know like, similar to you, I'm like, I know like 10. I know like 10, maybe like 13 of these
Hmm.
50 people. I'm like, oh god,
It's a lot.
there's a lot. I'm just like, how do you even get this many people to show up? I'm like, this is crazy.
Loyally is insane. Loyally is like I look up to her for so much. Especially in the most recent months where I got to actually talk to her and understand why she does them, and it's like it's such an aspiration goal of mine to get up to that point, which is going to be one of my projects I'm working on. But well, that's another discussion.
Right, right. Okay. And then, same thing like Loyally. Loyally is one of the earlier people I've met in the community um last year, and I'm just like, wow, just knowing these people and having, just be friends with them, and then them introducing like, oh, friends of friends, other streamers, and it's just this all giant interconnected web of people, and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I want to meet you.
same.
You seem so cool. You're awesome. And then when I first, because I was a flesh tuber before I became a VTuber. I didn't start VTubing until late 2022, but then I didn't
Hmm.
really look at other VTubers until beginning of 23. And um when I was meeting these people, I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are pretty awesome. I made the active decision at the beginning of the year. I'm like, okay, I'm going to dive headfirst blindly into Twitch communities that are VTubers and see what
Yep.
happened. And I'm like, yo, this has opened up so many new people
There.
to meet, so many opportunities for like games to play, and even like, for me, it's opened up, esports casting as well, unbeknownst to me, but it is just a whole nother
Yeah.
a hole to
It's
for me to fell
insane.
onto.
'Cause, like, it seems the opposite, right? You see, like, the big VTubers and you're like, "Oh, I wanna be up there," but you realize that they don't do a lot of collabs. They don't really talk to a lot of people. They are just, like, either doing solo content or they talk to the same people over and over again,
Hmm.
and I think that's just not fun. I think you like, as a streamer, you want to have to meet new people, like, you wanna challenge yourself and network and have a way of just, just playing random games with people you don't know. And I think that's just like a huge thing for me when I started streaming. It was like my number one thing this year, because last year I couldn't do it because of mental stability and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
this year I want to do so many more collabs because I feel like it's just a huge thing of what makes me happy in streaming.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, like that's super awesome for you to just say that and be like have that as one of your goals for this year, and all for it, all for it. Let's go. Let's throw you into
Yeah,
collabs.
let's go.
I'm gonna
Let's go.
let's drag you into collabs, baby.
Drag me in. Drag
Drag you
me
in.
in. Drag
Feel
me in.
like I need to know your games and be like, hey, I know a person.
Yeah, get me in there.
Get you in there. Get you in there. All right. But then the funny part was, it's like, oh, okay. You know how I said I was gonna go dive head first, right?
Mhm.
When I found out like everyone knew each other, I was so scared to ask people to like game or collab with, both either on stream or off stream, or just interact with them. And for me, because it felt like everyone knew each other, I'm just like, oh,
Mm.
I'm just slide my way in, wedge myself into you, and like,
It's so that's the hardest part,
yeah.
right? Is the actual introduction because a lot of people have so much social anxiety, especially VTubers. A
Hmm.
lot of them do. And like for example, I couldn't even message, for example, like Zarina. Zarina's now one of my close friends, but at first I was scared to DM her.
Oh my god, same,
Like
same,
hun-
same.
and I was like and she was like, "Bitch, what do you mean?" like By the way, am I okay to swear here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, but yeah, I was like, she's like, "Bitch, what are you talking about? You can DM me any fucking day. Like, just tell me." Even though I don't respond to you right away, that doesn't mean I want to see your messages. And I'm like, oh my god, this whole time. And then
Hmm.
Yuna is a huge person who also got me into like actually just asking people just to do stuff. She's like, honestly, that's how I network. It's just DMing randomly and seeing how it goes. So
Yeah, yeah. And like that's just how it was for me too. Especially I'm like the first handful of me messaging people for the either first time or like after interacting them, like I vibe with you. I want to ask you to like, oh,
mhm.
be on a podcast episode or let's game or something like that, right? It's because for me, I wouldn't say I come off as overbearing, but when I'm like in the mood, I am one of the loudest. I can go off the rails and hinges and stuff. But then I also just want to respect people's boundaries, right? Finally, good job on first.
Wow, Jesus. My chat is so bad at that, by the way. They could never determine who's first because they just like forget about it.
Yeah.
It's such the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, and then on top of that, right? It's because it's like, oh, I don't want to come off as someone who is like clout chasing, right? I'll be like, I
Oh my
know some people do that. They're like, oh, I wouldn't say I know some people personally, but like I've heard so many stories. It's like, oh yeah, this person's here to just leech off like their community. And I'm like, no, dude, like your community's
nah.
cool. If they want to see me, then they can see me. But I don't think I'm that interesting. I'm just like I just want to hang out with you as a person, right? And then I was
For
so
sure.
intimidated by just everyone because like if when I collab with them or just talk to them, just like, oh, Serena's, that loud extroverted type, and then you talk to her, she's like, oh yeah, I'm like introverted. I'm like, the hell, like hell you
Yeah,
are.
no. She has a double fucking personality when she's streaming. Like you see her as like very outgoing and like talking to everyone, but when
Right.
you get to actually know her, she's like very very introverted. And I'm the same way. Like I put up a face and of course as part of DID, um I have to do that. It is
Mm.
very normal for me to do that in front of people in real life and on virtually. So
Yeah, it's funny because actually I come off I'm actually the opposite where I'm like I'm stone cold. I'm like, oh, this he's super quiet and stuff like that. Then you get to know me. I'm like, all right, now I'm super loud. I'm comfortable. You're stuck with me
yeah.
now. You're
No, no,
you
I'm the
get the
same way.
gremlin.
I am the same way. I am very shy when I first meet you, and then after I get to know you, oh my goodness, I'm gonna ramble your ear off.
Yeah. So I mean, that's it's always interesting when you get to know people, right? Not just like on the
Hmm.
stream, but even off stream. It's always like, oh, some people do play it up and over exaggerate, but then at the end of the day, most more times than not, especially for, um, you know, smaller streamers. I say smaller streamers like us, right? Just on
Yeah.
Twitch, and it's just really just who they are. No
Hmm.
one's really, putting up like a huge front that isn't a part of them, and if they are, it's like they're just really into their character, which usually it's like it's hard to find someone that's really like that to begin with, but
Hmm.
I think it's just really interesting. So, and for when I'm meeting people, right, and like my own experience, I'm just like I'm glad I get to interact with them, um
Hmm.
and I'm always trying to meet new people, and then I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And and then we'll just have conversations, and if I vibe with them either super hard or just in a VC message, or just like I get your music or your memes you're posting in some Discord server or whatever. I'm just like, "Hey, let's chat. Let's chat. I'll DM
Yeah.
you and be like, just like you were. It's like, oh, Avi. It's like, oh, we vibe. We vibe. Come on my podcast.
Hmm.
Come on my podcast.
Yeah, it's like
Get on here. Get on here.
it was the funniest. Like even though we had no contact, I was like I was watching your podcast and whatever, and I was having it's like I would love to do a podcast with you. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. If I saw you in my stream, I said I put my shot out there. I was like, hey Neon, I know you don't know me well, but I'm gonna shoot my shot and see how it goes. And then we talked about it, and we were like, yeah, you know what? Next week. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. That's what it's about. Cause, I'm a bit hesitant sometimes when people are like, "Oh," I've had people reach out to me and be like, "Oh, I want to be on a podcast." And I'm like, "Ooh, maybe. I think about it." But then I'm like, there's people like yourself, or I have no doubt that I'm be like, "Oh, this is gonna be a fun episode. This is gonna be a good
Yeah.
episode." And I'm like, "I'd love to have you on." And you know, and it's funny because there's some people who come onto this podcast nervous, especially first time. I don't like for you. Were you nervous at all
No.
knowing that? Okay, good, good.
No. Honestly, like the vibe that I got was like when I first came in, I was like, you know what, this is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna like talk about myself a lot more because in the past I never talked about myself. I hate
Hmm.
talking about myself that much. So this is out of my comfort zone, but this year I want to step out on my boundaries and I want to see what I can do. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, podcast right away of the year, let's do it.
Let's go. Let's go. And
And I'm very confident in myself. Where last year I was not.
oh, hey, that's awesome. And I love the personal growth, and we'll get into that. We'll definitely get into that.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
and you know what? It's funny because people, even though I vibe with them, they get nervous on a podcast. For some of them, not all of them, obviously. I would say a good chunk of them. And it's funny because it's like, oh, half these people are introverted or have anxiety. I'm like, it's fine because, you're just I say this all the time. My podcast is an excuse for me to talk to someone one on one, and it just happens to be live streamed or and slash recorded. And like, if chat
Yeah.
says something, is chat's active, like brother right there, W podcast. Thank you, brother. If if they show up and people are active in chat and want to interact with us too and ask us questions, I'm like, hey, that's awesome. But like, I want to
Mhm.
make it between, I want to get to know you more or vibe with you or just whatever. And that's why I like bringing people on the podcast. It's just an excuse for me to allocate an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's just to have a conversation with people. It's
For
always
sure,
for
for
me.
sure.
I'm selfish.
Well, I
So
think everyone is. So, like, everyone says they're not selfish, but most of them are. So,
yeah, there you go. There you go. I'll admit to it. I'll gladly admit to it.
oh, I'll
I,
admit I'm selfish.
let's go. And yeah, I mean, and to the other point, people not only that they are nervous, or some people are nervous, right? It's that underqualified hello. That they will, even though they say they're nervous, they'll start off the podcast a little shy, a little timid, a little bit. But then because I know that I already vibe with them super hard, right? Give me
Hmm.
10 minutes out of the shell. And some of those shy people that they're scared to be on the podcast have been some of the most fun episodes that I've ever recorded.
Oh,
And I'm just like,
100%.
I know. I just like when I know. Because vibes are such a huge thing to have when you're talking to
Oh,
someone. And
100%.
I'm just like, oh yeah, that's why I brought you on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, for you, right? Let's going back to the vibes and going back to your origin story.
Mhm.
Let's go into a little bit deeper dive and have you talk about yourself a little bit more, right? Just also for my own
Yeah.
to learn about yourself, but greater concept of things, right? You said you were a DID.
Yep.
Uh,
So, yeah,
yeah,
I can just go right into it.
yeah.
So yeah, I am a DID, which is a dissociative identity disorder. Basically, I have multiple people inside my brain.
Mm,
Is an easy way to say it. Now, again, this is just my story. There's a lot of other people that have DID who are very different. So my story is very different than someone else who has it, right?
mm-hmm,
And some people will have, like me, I only have two other alters. Some have 28. I have a friend who has like 28 of them, and it's insane that they have to deal with that. But I'm lucky I have two, and I'm very lucky that I have good ones. There are bad ones in DID, but the good ones, are very good.
mm-hmm,
So you're talking to the main, you're talking the host. I am the person who likes sharing, likes talking, and has like an actual kind of like speech pattern, I guess you can say.
mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people call me D. It's actually a shortened of my real name, and that's why I don't. You can't doc. I can't dox myself anymore because I already kind of am just doxing myself anyway. Um, and so I go by D, and then the other alter that mostly comes out is Avi. And that's she kind of just yoinked the name from my streamer name, and that's why it was a really big problem at first because we were talking about, oh, what do you want to go by? And she was like, I really like your streamer name, Avi. I'm like, fuck, shit, how am I gonna go over this with
How
other
does that?
people? Like, yeah, how so if someone calls me Avi on stream, like, do you answer or do I answer? And she's like, "Well, we just both answer, and whoever wants to talk about it, go for it." Like that's how we work that out.
Mm,
Now how it kind of works, for some people it's like rooms. Like if you open a door, you that's how you talk to them. Like it's just opening doors and closing doors.
mm-hmm.
Um, my headspace is completely different. It's just a bed. Now it's gonna sound very fucking weird, and
Okay.
yes, it
Yeah.
is weird because I am a lewd VTuber,
Okay.
but basically, basically my headspace is literally just a giant bed, and it's like what we do is just like we're just vibing together on the same bed, and we're just cuddling, we're having a good time together, we're talking about things, we're just having like not a constant conversation, but we're always talking about each other, or she's teasing me like right now, saying like you're being oh god, she just commented, fuck you, Amy." um so she'll tease me in the middle of the day or in the middle of something that I'm doing, and just have a lot of fun with teasing me. But we do switch. We can switch. So if I show you here, if you notice the red and green eye,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually a representation of both of us.
Mm,
So
mm,
right now it would be technically, so we were both present in that moment. But so right now I shut AV away, so I have a toggle that shows just my green eyes, which means I am just myself.
mm. Oh my god, that's
Um,
such an interesting like detail and lore and like personal story. That is so interesting.
mhm.
What the heck?
And so, like VTuber lore is because like AV is like a binding, like a phoenix binding. So I used to be a catbird mixed with a what's it called, a sparrow
Mm.
before,
Mm-hmm.
and the phoenix died in front, like the old phoenix, which is the ruler of my land, um died in front of me, and
Mm.
since I was the only one nearby, I had to go through the transformation of becoming the new phoenix. And so
Oh.
Avi is the side part of that transition, which is the red eye. This
Mm.
lore is to be released soon. I haven't. I was thinking about doing a video. I decided not to do that. So I'm gonna be writing a new thing soon and just putting it out there for people to understand how my lore is done. Um, but maybe a little video might be coming up. We'll see. We'll see. We'll
Ooh,
see.
awesome. Okay, if it
But
it
as
comes
a
out.
personal
Mm-hmm.
thing, but as a personal thing, it's just me just showing like who's actually talking.
Gotcha, gotcha. So then if you have like you have the toggle for one red, one green and or two green, do you have a toggle for both red? Does AV have also just fully take over at times also, like you said, you
Oh,
switch?
yes, she does. So there's the double red eye.
Mm.
If you notice, the other thing that red eyes do is makes her eyes more flirtatious. Because AV in my system is the flirtatious one slash the guardian. It's a role, just so you understand. Each altar has a role in our system.
Mhm.
So Avi's the protector. So she's the one that, like, if there's an argument or a like a disagreement or anything like that, she will take over. She will run the system for me. Um
Mm.
and then I have another one which right now we're still discussing like what their main role is, but their name is Signal. Signal is not representation because he slash she again just came into our system.
Mhm.
Um like just a couple months ago. So you can get
Oh.
alters throughout your whole life.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask that too. But first off, Violet, thank you for the stretch. Get a quick stretch.
Oh, get a
Thank
quick
you, thank
spread.
you. Stretch it, stretch it. Okay,
But yeah,
thank you. But yeah, if like for you, I was gonna say it's like how did this like affect your bringing up, or like when you're growing up, right? Because I don't know whether or not, obviously, like you said, it's case to case basis, person to person. But for you, did AV always exist alongside? Like you said, it was like a giant bed. Like how did these concepts and sense of order
Uh,
or like structure, just everything, like when did this all become more solidified, or rather I
mhm.
should say, when did you adapt and or like be able to put it into words and stuff like that, if that makes
Yeah, good.
sense?
Very good question. It started back in high school. In high school, I always had this like weird, like feeling someone was talking to me. Like I would just hear my name randomly throughout like high school, and
Hmm.
I would look behind me, and no one called my name. So I was just like, what the fuck? At first, I didn't know I thought it was just I was hearing things, right? General things that normal people go through.
Hmm.
And then I was like sitting down, and the moment I went through a very traumatic episode, like a year ago, with especially with these the most recent laws that are coming into the U.S. It was legitimately giving me anxiety and going through a time of like depression and
Mm.
just being scared. So Avi then was manifested, basically. She was always there, and she told me like later that she was there in high school, and I never noticed her. But that like just like 2 years ago, I started. She became into being, um, and started just we started talking. At first, she was very childlike. She was like always wanting to do the things that I wanted to do as a child. So
Hmm.
she wanted to do that and push on around. But then after that, it kind of moved on to be what she is now, and she's the dom in the relationship. Um, she now teases me all the time and just has a lot of fun getting to know people. And if I sent you that one TikTok, that's what she does. She just teases the fuck out of people and makes people blush as much as possible.
Mm, mm. I see. And then for you, you said there's a new one. Like
Mm-hmm.
for not just that one, but have there been other ones that have appeared or like come and gone? Is it like, for
Mm-mm.
you personally, is it common for that stuff to happen or no?
So I haven't had any alter come and leave yet. I don't think I ever have noticed one like that.
Hmm.
Um Signal came into being when me and Avi, we have what's called shadows. We like to call them shadows, but it's basically what your like inner thoughts are saying to yourself.
Hmm.
Like anything that's like very negative. So I part of my social anxiety is that I do get once in a while voices of the same voice. So for example, your voice some nights will randomly just have like very bad thoughts and just saying like, "Oh, you never sounded great." Those normal things, right?
Okay.
And what we do is we basically go fight the shadows. And
Mm.
recently, there was a shadow of myself, and
Oh.
both me and Avi had to do that because that's a hard shadow to fight. Is to fight yourself. Um, and so I was just sitting there, and I didn't know what happened. Right? I was fighting the shadow, so I didn't know what happened. But one of my friends was like, "Hey, you okay?" And I literally I had a blank slate. I didn't remember this at all. I only got told after the fact. But they were like, "Yeah, you just had a new alter." Like they speak very robotic. They did your functions that you needed to do, and you came back, and that was it.
Whoa. This is so interesting to hear like a story like this, cuz it's like you're probably the first person I've met with DID. Like I've heard stories, YouTube videos
Mhm.
and content or whatever, right? Whatever media. But like just
Mhm.
hearing this is just so interesting, because it's like,
Mhm.
like you said, pr- c- person, case to case. But for you, I'm just like, wow, this
Mhm.
is a legitimate experience that has happened for you, and I'm just like being able to just hear you tell it and like what you're feeling and like just these are things that I wouldn't think you know, or I would say like a normal person would experience. I wouldn't say like, you know, it's not normal, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean, right? It's like it's not common. It's not a common experience. I wouldn't just shadow like this legitimately sounds like a fictional series, but it's not fictional. It's all happened.
No. No, this is all real life. This, honestly, like, Signal came into being, like, a month ago.
Oh.
Like, it's that recent. Um, so, like, right now, we're trying like, right she I think she is going by she's going by she pronouns? God, I hate that. I just fucking wow. Bad fucking grammar. Anyway, um, but yeah, she was, like, basically instead of being on the bed, she's like a box beside my bed, and when she comes out, it's, like, literally like a fucking transformer. Like, she took the embodiment of, like, my PC, right? So, like,
Mhm.
my PC right next to me, like, I'm literally touching it right now. She took the form of my PC and said, "You know what? I'm gonna, like, humanify it." And
Mm.
that's what she looks like. She looks like a robot based off the colors off my PC, and it's just that's what it is.
Oh, wow.
I
Dang.
might I'll show you a photo later, but, like, we grab heavily from, like, photos that she thought it was like, "That's me." That's
Mm.
how AV came into being of, like, "I really liked your OC, it's me now."
Interesting. So it's like, for you, anyways, for your two altars, it was just like they, the imagery at least built off things you already had, like in your.
Mhm.
Ah, okay, got it, got
All the
it.
art that I've seen, all of the things, she was like, "Okay, what eyes do you like?" Basically, like, character creation in Final Fantasy 14 or any MOBA.
Right.
Basically, that's what we do when an altar comes into being. We were like, "What do you look like? Like, tell us what you look like," and we, like, sketch it down or we, like, write it down, and then we look up art based off of that idea. And then they go
Mm.
like, "Yep, that's what I look like."
Oh, okay, okay. So then for you, you know, for someone to have alters so recent, like, you know, signals a month ago, AV would say, you know, a year, give or take, you know, depending on the
I would say, like, 4 years.
4 years.
Avi's been, like, it's she's been coherent for 2, but also, like, been there since high school, so 4.
So 4. Okay, got it. So then
4 to 6, yeah.
for you then, how what's the general like split between like who's piloting? Because you said you would be the main, right? Like D would be the main,
Yeah.
but you know, is there like a percentage split or like more what one's more
Mm,
common than the other? You know, just for like
yeah.
my own knowledge, right? And like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, so most of the time it is just me,
Mm,
right? AV, what we is called co-fronting. Now this is a very new thing for certain people because a lot of people can't co-front. People can't have two people fronting at the same time. Now there are people who can, there are people who can't. Um, but I am one of the lucky few that can have two people talking at the same time. So you're
mm,
actually talking to AV and I at the exact same time,
mm,
and we're both answering questions. Now I use I and pronouns because it's just easier
mm-hmm.
so it doesn't confuse the fuck out of people.
Right,
But when we're both there, sometimes we say we when we know people are okay with it. Like it's basically a trust thing.
right,
And
right.
when I'm on as my character as in VTubing, I am very open about my DID. I'm very open about my journey of being trans and all the things I've done. Um, but in person, I don't tell people that I have DID. The only people that know it, like outside, like only my mom and my sister know about this in person. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody else knows from my close friends who I built trust with knows about AV and Signal.
Oh. Okay, so there, and then so it's for you would say it's like you say it's not common, right, for people not to be able to co-front. For you, yeah, or is there would a statistic be out there be like, oh, is the amount of people with DID would able to co-front, or like this is just me
I
asking
don't know
questions?
that
No.
statistic.
Okay.
I don't know that statistic, no.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's just a question
Uh,
thrown out there.
yeah, no, that is like a research topic based off of like very heavy research and querying and stuff like that, and I can't give you that answer
Gotcha,
truthfully.
gotcha. No worries, no worries.
But yeah.
I figured it was a too specific question anyways.
By the way, I will say to your chat, if you do have a trigger, I am sorry. I will try to tell you when we are switching. Triggers do happen if like you had an experience with, for example, my mother had bipolar. So if you have any things with that, that will set off your trigger. So I will tell you when AV is coming in. But
Mhm. Okay.
anyway.
Gotcha, gotcha. So then going on from that, right? And
Hmm.
you know, to how do I put this into a better phrasing? For you, and like you want to introduce yourself to not just be like as a VTuber, like you said, you're on streaming, and as a person on the internet, you're very open about it, right? But and
Hmm.
not so much with people in real life. So for you, does it affect your I mean, I'm sure it affects your day to day, but for you, do you personally try to accommodate for people who, that don't know, or like that might not be as
Mm,
accepting? Because, with someone, as human nature, right? When someone doesn't necessarily fit the same bill as you are, they might feel a little uncomfortable, right? I feel like that's just in human nature.
yeah.
It's like, oh, the differences in people could scare people. Like that's just, even though humans are
True.
social creatures, right? If it's not the same, then we're like, oh, they're cautious. So for you,
Yeah.
how do you I would say navigate that type of um interaction with people, whether day to day or just meeting new people in person rather than on the internet?
Hmm. Yeah, day to day, like, to be honest, like, most of the time it's just me. AV does not understand the concept of working in school. She kinda understands that have she understands that we have to do busy work. We have to do stuff that we need to do to just basically make a living. Um, but AV really likes to come out when we're streaming, when we're, having conversation with friends, or, because she's the very ones that are very talkative. She helps me talk, because then I used to like worry about what I used to say and push all these things, and now with her confronting me, she helps me like put words together and not be as scared as I used to be.
Mm.
Um, especially for confidence. Like, oh my gosh, I had zero, and then when AV came around, she's the most confident being I've ever seen. She will like say whatever she wants. She will proudly show off what she has and does whatever she wants. And I look up to her that in that way. So
Nice. That's so interesting. Like,
so most of the time it is just me. So like I would say like again, she is the quote unquote cat of her system. Um so she's like sleeping half the time of the day, but when she's awake, she's very energetic. So
gotcha, gotcha. So that's interesting. It's just like, so many different
mhm.
factors can come into play onto how it co-fronts and stuff like that. Oh man, I'm learning
Mhm.
so much right now. That's why, like, usually I'm more fast paced and like witty on responses and questions, but I'm just like learning and amazed right now. I,
This time I'm teaching you new stuff, you know.
hey, that's a
I love teaching people about this stuff because it's so a lot of people don't know about it, or the people who do have it don't like sharing about it, right? Because it
right.
does scare people. And so I want to break that barrier of like just saying like, "Hey, like ask me anything about it." Because if you don't, it's going to get taken out of context or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so important to talk about mental health. Like, of course, I built my community just wanting people to be themselves.
Mm.
And a lot of people, I've helped a lot of people become who they wanted to be. Like for as again, I am a very person who teaches people how to voice train, who help them through transitioning. Like I have 3 people who have transitioned with me because they felt so
Mm.
by me and my community. So I try to make again that a place of a safe haven for everyone.
That's good. I respect that a lot, especially for people who make that not just, a thing that they do, but to make it part of their basis for their community. I'm just like I really have so much respect and appreciation for you to do that. And for you, like you said, you want to help people with mental health, and obviously you've mentioned it before with some of your previous stories and stuff like that. For you, um supporting people, in what kind of forms that does that take, in terms of like, oh, obviously
Yeah.
having conversations with people? Do you plan to make like content around that, or like what, just, or I potential ideas that you have, or whatever you're currently doing, just stuff like that, like regarding mental health?
So for mental health, really, for me, it's just kind of like being able to have viewers just talk to me, like say, "Hey, what's going on? What can I help you with?" Like, um, especially when I'm in a good headspace. You know what I mean? Like if I'm in a bad headspace, it's very hard to talk to a viewer or talk to a friend and support them
Hmm.
when I'm in a bad place. But when I'm in my prime, like I, of course, I'm gonna help them out. Um, Now, like I would say I'm very lucky that I've survived through so much, but like I had 2 friends commit suicide in front of me.
Mm.
And it was a very hard and traumatic event for me multiple times. And I swore to myself that I will never have another person do it again. And I want to be that person who's always there, no matter what, as
Mm.
a like basically a beacon for people.
Gotcha.
And that was like when I started doing streaming and stuff like that, that's when I wanted to be the beacon of for people. It's like, "Hey, I'm always here. Talk to me." So sometimes in the middle of a stream we have someone who might DM me and I say, "Hey, I need to take a 5-minute break to make sure that they're okay." And that's what I want it to be. Like that's what my stream is. If someone's not feeling good, give me 5 minutes and I will talk it out with them. Um On top of that, I have a couple projects. Again, I haven't done really that much with the mental health. Like I do want to do a charity at some point. I do want to do some planning to help out with mental health and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
it's very hard. It's very hard to do when you're still starting out and you're trying to build a community. And there are some personal goals of mine this year, which I posted about of what I want to do in this coming year. I'm very excited to do some of the new projects that I'm working on, and looking forward to where it turns out. But for
Nice.
mental health, like I have a couple of things planned, but not very much, and those I can't release at the moment because I don't know exactly the details.
Oh, that's understandable. Especially like, not just starting off as a streamer, but to get like these projects rolling, to have that foundation is its own
Hmm.
monumental task in itself. And for you, right? And you know how you said like you always want to help people, right? And then just to check in with you, right? And I don't want to, you know,
Yeah.
don't take this wrong way, but for you, like you said, you were not in the best space last year. And
Hmm.
for your own mental health, and not to be, I wouldn't say overburdened by maybe some others, and not to take that in the wrong way, but how is like that balance to be able to not just support people who come to your channel, to your Discord, your DMs or whatever, but for you, how do you also balance it with your own
Hmm.
lifestyle, right? Because I would I personally would say, be like, oh, mental health is not uh isn't just like the people around you, but it also obviously it starts, I wouldn't say starts with yourself, but it could, because some people could
Yeah.
take it differently. So for you, what are some steps that you take, or you took, or going to take, past, present, future, whatever it may be, for you to your own mental health, stability, growth, and
Mhm.
whatnot?
So I already kind of did that. I've been taking classes and I've been talking to a therapist for a while about all the things before, and I finally got to a place where I'm just kind of let go of the past. I think a lot of people have hold back on their past and they don't think they have. And so it's just like that moment when you let it go and just
Mm-hmm.
let it be is a crucial moment in history. Because when you're, for example, I one of my major stories that I ran on myself, right? I
Mm-hmm.
called a story. Um, was a 5-year-old boy who was sitting at a windowsill. Mom and dad were gone. My sister was out with friends, and I was alone with my dog sitting in a windowsill looking out to the a snowy background. And in that moment, I felt unloved. In that moment, I felt unloved.
Mm.
And I told myself that I will be never be loved by anybody. And the moment I realized that it was a lie, that was the moment I started to realize that I was lovable, that I was caring, I was deserving of praise, of everything. And it all starts with just letting go of past.
Mm.
Um, and that's the hardest part for people because some people are like, "Oh, the past has built me," and I agree with that. But there's some things you just gotta let go, and it's very hard to do. It is very hard to do,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
when you let go of that, it really opens to what you want to do now. There's no tomorrow. There's in the present for me. So instead of
Okay.
saying like, "Oh, I'll do that tomorrow," nope, I'm doing it right now.
Mm.
Never pushing back. If I push something back, it's because there's an actual issue or an actual reason. But if it's like, oh, for example, like I'm trying to do my demo reel for so long in the last past year, I've been pushing it off. I'll do it next month. I'll do it next month. But now I'm like, I'm sitting down and just like recording my voice and just saying, okay, how can I improve? How can I push this? How can I push that? Like, how can I push my physical voice boundaries? And how can I make my voice better?
Mm. I see. I
And
see.
just focusing on a goal and focusing on a thing can just really just have make your whole body realize like, hey, like I'm in a good spot now. And so it kind of go and went kind of off a little bit off topic, but you kind of have to work on yourself more than you before you can even talk to someone else and take
Right.
their own stuff.
Right. Right. Right.
And after you have gone through all that stuff, like if you let go of your past, now you can help another person go through the exact same thing, right? If someone is dwelling on something that made them hurt, find the root cause and help them through it. And that's what I do with everybody. I say, hey, what's going on? What are you thinking about when they come to me? That's the first thing I ask them. I say, tell me up front what is happening, what happened, what triggered it. Tell me. And every single time if someone like actually told me what that reason or that trigger was,
Mm-hmm.
we're able to go through what started it and why it's still lingering. And after they let it go, it's just kind of like eye opening and just being able to just like let go of that thing that was holding them back.
Mm. It's such a like when you put it into words like that, right? And as you were speaking and listening to that story and like how you approached it, I was relating it back to myself, and I was like,
Hmm.
I agree. I was like, I didn't think I could put it. I didn't think like I could tell like my story and what happened, but then to be able to put it into a like a larger concept to just like that, right? I'm like, I really resonate with what you just said, and it's like
Yeah.
it's so good, it's so good. And then because for me, I could talk to I haven't gone to a therapist. Everyone says therapy is good. Maybe I will one day.
Hmm.
But for someone to be able to put that into words just puts it a whole new spin, a whole new meaning for me, that went through my own version of the growth of mental and emotional growth, and to hear that from someone else, right? Because
Mhm.
when I talk to other people, then they're like, oh yeah, it's like we all talk about growth. And when I talk to someone, whether it's about their issues, my issues, I always ask them, it's like, oh, I've learned to be more mature about it. Be like, oh, are you emotionally available to talk about this problem? I've learned about taking that step, not to overstep or overshare when someone's not comfortable at the time. So that was one step. And another one was like, um, to when someone tells you like they're telling their problem, right? I've learned, years past, to ask them, it's like, okay, if you're telling me this problem, what would you like to hear? Do you want me to be comforting, or do you want me to give you a solution? Because
Mhm.
there's been times where I give, oh, I'm the type of guy to be, oh yeah, let's look at the problem here. Let's let's find the solution. But rather than, they were just trying to find comfort and solace, or in having this conversation, or like that moment to be that moment with me at that in person. So then being able to hear that, right, is just like how to approach different things, and how to approach people's um other people's approach and their problems when they come to me. It's like it's so much more interesting, because like you said, it starts with yourself. In my like, I
Mhm.
agree with you, some people might not, but I personally, I do. And to know that, like, oh wow, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that, Amy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that and be like, oh yeah, you gotta I'm gonna start using that, and like
Mhm.
using it as another part of my foundation for me to continue to grow my own self, but also to help those my own personal friends, own close friends, when they do end up coming to me for similar stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I was like, I thank you.
It's a very hard topic, especially with new people who don't understand it. And I have a viewpoint which I will not say because it does trigger things, but it's just
Mm,
like, if you want to ask, I can tell you off stream.
sure.
But it is a very huge standpoint for some people that is very scary. But when you realize what the actual meaning behind what I say is, it really opens up the world. And it's just like, okay, why am I worrying about traffic? Like, why am I worrying about this person who's told me that, like, verbally harassed me in like a Walmart about like what I'm wearing? Like, why am I worrying about that?
Hmm.
Again, that's a true story. I got fucking harassed in the middle of fucking Walmart. That's not. It was not fun. But after I let it go, I was like, holy shit. Why am I worrying about this person that I don't care about?
Hmm.
Right? That was being rude to me. That was bringing my self esteem down. And when I just said, okay, whatever, and I moved on, and then I felt good the rest of the day because I fought through it instead of being in the slump.
Nice.
So again, always start with yourself, and then you can help others.
Gotcha. And then the other point was like, oh, leaving stuff in the past. I think
Mm-hmm.
for me, that was like the other big point that resonated with me, right? Like you said, leave it in the past. Why should it concern you? For me, I always my biggest point of growth a couple of years ago, and why it resonate that point specifically resonates with me, is because there was when I decided to let go of something, or in this case, someone. It was
Mm-hmm.
a huge step, like
Yeah.
the one of the first steps, right? And then that led me. I was like, okay, let's continue to move on. Let's continue to, you know, it's part of my story, but don't let it. I'm not gonna let that anchor me down, and let it be the the part that is gonna be that controls, how I grow and how I develop as an adult. And
Mm-hmm.
then, like you said, just being that pro- similar, that proactive nature, and be like, okay, what are we gonna do here? What's to plan this? Look at it and plan this out to do that kind of thing. And I'm just like, wow, that. You put it so well. I'm just like, that's me. That's me. That's me for real, for real. So
Yeah,
yeah.
if I wasn't going for a business degree, I would have gone for a psychology degree, but I decided not to. I went with a business degree instead.
Mm,
But I
mhm.
still am very open about maybe even going back just to become a therapist. But anyway, because we need more. But
Mhm.
why become a licensed one when you can just kind of like realize yourself and just help others?
There you go. There you go.
So
Don't
anyway,
let no stupid degree define how you want to help
plus
people.
fuck school. I don't fuck that shit.
Yeah, yeah, fuck school. I mean, we're
Oh,
being in a workforce isn't that much better, but at least you get money.
I disagree. I disagree with that.
I mean, there's me, so I mean, that's just my own thing.
Yeah. No, 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 yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh
Anyway,
yeah. Anyways, that is what it is. What it is, as people
it
say.
is what it
It
is.
is what it is. Exactly. So then to go branch off of that, right? So
Mhm.
you said you're going to be working on like a demo reel, and you're working on like community stuff and stuff. We'll go towards the
Mhm.
streaming angle now and the content angle. For,
Streaming,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And to loop back to what we said at the beginning, um, I just similar to you, I'm like, oh, VTubers, that's weird. I'm not going to get into VTubers. And
And I
then,
got into
uh,
it. Yep.
yeah, I saw Gargura clips popping up on my YouTube feed, and then I can pinpoint. I don't know the exact date, but I can go through my group chat with my friends. I can pinpoint the exact date I fell into the rabbit hole. There's a
Yep.
span of 2 hours of me sharing clips. I went, oh god, I'm in there. This is actually being.
This is it. Yep.
that's
I'm God.
that's it. That's the exact day. That's the exact moment of when I knew
Well,
I fell into the hole. But
I
I mean,
I felt I think
yeah.
I fell in the moment that I fell into the VTuber hole was like I think it was just sitting down and just watching Shy Lily's first ever subathon.
Mm.
Like Shy and she just had her fucking second re-debut and holy shit, like models have you noticed how models have gotten so more high tech?
Yep.
It's insane how important how fucking well those models are turning out nowadays. Like it used to be like just like my like even just my model or your model would take like months or a long time to do, but now people are getting so good at it. Like it's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's just for models, right? Like, for mine, I was like, oh, it's just a free model. This was a character
Yeah.
select screen. But then for someone to make custom models like yourself, I'm like, yo, people are good with it. People are nice with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they're good. It takes time, but they are really good with it. Now it's
Yeah.
all my fault for all the glitching. So, having all of, like, the mouse tracking and stuff like that, I'm still working out the kinks because I got a new camera because my old camera decided to crash on me all the time.
Oh
So I
no.
said, "Fuck it, no more." Got a new camera, and now it's just running smoothly, and this is the first stream I've had it by the way, you're my test subject. This is the first stream I've had with the camera, and it hasn't broke, so I'm very happy, so
There you go. Step one, got it to work. Step two, it tracks the model. Good enough for us. Let's go. Don't worry, Neon.
and
Mine's
s
a default one. All right. Oh yeah, go ahead.
but no, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was my just, like, thing. It was like, we're going into content and asking about the demo reel,
Hmm.
but, the content that I have been playing for so long was, like, I wanna get into, um, voice acting. I really
Ooh.
always wanted to get into voice acting, even as a person in high school. I've always loved like people can do certain different voices, and I grew up with being able to do so many different voices because of my vocal range. As you're talking to me when I like again, this is like 2 years of voice training you're talking to right now
Hmm.
for just my normal voice. But I used to be a lot deeper. My voice used to be a lot deeper, and right now I'm just like semi tired. It's the end of the night, so my voice is getting all graggly. But I used to be like a soprano in middle school, and I
Oh
still had
wow.
that range, and I still have that range to this day. And a lot of people ask like, how do you keep it? And it's a lot of practice. And so now I was like, wait, you can actually do a career off of it, and you can actually start like doing like sub projects. So I'm making a demo reel to like have a portfolio for if I want to do like indie jobs, or ultimately my ultimate dream is like to be in an anime or in a cartoon or in a game and just voice act for like any of that.
Yo, that's a take me with you.
Yeah, it takes a bit, and you have to know ins. It is a very heavy networking job, and
Yeah.
you have to practice. Like even people who are, in the industry are still taking practices. They're
Mhm.
always developing their voice better and better.
Man.
And
Mhm.
it's a hard thing to get into at first, but after you get into it, you're sucked into a hole.
Oh, man,
And you
absolutely.
get so many people who are like super helpful. Like I posted in my goal tweet that I wanted to have a demo reel and I wanted to grow as a voice actor. And instantly, I got 5 people DMing me talking about like how to help with a demo reel, and I actually submitted some clips to them, and they've been telling me how I can improve and stuff like that. And it's just such an interesting community because so many people want you to succeed in it because it's so hard.
Yeah, I can imagine because, like, especially for, back in early YouTube days where everyone was just doing, I wouldn't say everyone, but a good amount of the people dubbing were just fan dubs, right? They're just
Sure.
and now you see them now, it's like, oh, they've been doing it for so long. Some of them are into like the mainstream English dubbing scene and or like in video games and English dub anime. I'm
Mhm,
just like, yo, that's awesome. And it's like similar fashion like to you. It's like since high school, it's like, oh, voice acting is cool, but it always was just like a side thought to me to be
mhm,
a voice actor. But then that's also why I got into shoutcasting and commentary and analysis and stuff like that. And
mhm,
I won't say I do voice acting as a thing. It's like, I do it for fun, for side. I won't say I have training, never, not even close to formal training
mhm.
like to yourself, but I'm like, yo, voice acting? If you are okay with listening to your own voice and being able to have that range and that
Oh my god.
variety, it's
Oh
so
my god.
fun. It's so
So,
fun.
okay, first of all, as a person who is trans, I hate my voice. I say this to my chat, and they say your
Mm,
voice is beautiful, your voice is amazing. When you're a voice actor, you always have to critique your own voice.
right,
That's just how it is.
right.
And a lot of people like tell me this. I'm like, no, 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 I can improve. I can get better. I always can get better. And now a lot of them are always saying like, "Is that because you're being self-deprecating?" I'm like, "No, it's because I just want to get better. I want to have a better voice. I want to be whatever." And it's just like taking that part of like, first of all, having voice training for myself because I, wanting to have a natural voice more feminine and more masculine than what I used to have. But now I'm using it as an excuse to better my voice for voice acting instead. And to have a range that sounds very feminine, but also can be sounding like a very masculine man, and it's gonna be a shocker to a lot of people because a lot of people can't do that. One person can't do that many voices.
Mm, mm,
Usually, there's a male can only do male voices, and then females can do both like a young kid slash normal girl voice, and it's you can't find it in between.
right.
But if you do well enough and you know how to start practicing with your voice and just being like just using it in that way, then you learn a lot.
Hmm. For you, what was did you have like an inspiration to get into voice acting? Was it like a specific anime, a
Um,
specific voice actor, or you were just like, I could do that. Let me try it.
so even before this event that really got me pushed towards it, I was always watching Amelie. Amelie with her covers and all of her stuff that she was doing.
Hmm.
Um, watched her since the beginning and watched her covers from like day one. Um, but when I went to my first con ever this past summer. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, there's a con. Oh shit! I need to go. And I didn't even look at the guest thing until like a week before,
Hmm.
and I saw Amelie on that list. I'm like, "Holy fuck! That is such a coincidence." So I went on the Friday, Saturday. I went on Friday because no one's, kids were still in school. Parents were still in their jobs, so I went pretty early. And I was lucky enough to like like we got there early, and no one was in line for both Alejandro Saab or Amelie, and so we just had a conversation, just talking about voice acting and getting into it. And I showed them my this model actually when it was still in development, and
Mhm.
saying like, "Hey, this is I'm gonna be doing my re debut," and I just sat there in front of Amelie, and she's like, "You have a very pretty model, and I want to see you in 2 years." She challenged me
Oh.
to like either collab with her in 2 years and grow.
Yo, that is awesome.
So
What?
pushing my limits. She like I have I literally right behind me. I have a poster that has the date, and it says like from Amelie to like AviCatBird, like printed in her handwriting. And it says in 2 years I want to see you on the back of the poster. And that is my motivation now, is to
Yo.
grow and to push and to become what I want to be, because she also went through the same thing of like she needed to push through so much
Mhm.
and um become the voice actor she wanted to be. And then all Alejandro Saab was like, I was talking to him, and he had his re-debut, and also Amelie just did too.
Right.
But they were like, "That's so cool," because they never seen, because I told them about my DID story and having the double eye color, and they're like, "That's a so cool idea that I would never thought about." Like, you have to be so creative to think about that.
Mhm. Absolutely. And so when you
That
when
was the push.
gotcha. So when was this con? Like general.
Last, what was it? June? Let me look.
Okay, so
June of last year.
June of last year. Okay. Okay. So June of last year, coming.
Again, this was my first ever con that I've ever went to, ever.
Gotcha. So
And I was just like casually just gonna go there, have fun with my friend that I brought with me. And it turned to be one of the most important parts of my year last year.
dang, that's such a crazy story. So then, am I in a year, in just under a year and a half from now? Am I gonna see the 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 Monarch Sayu AV Catbird collab? Is this what I'm
Oh my
hearing?
gosh. I
I'm
if I
hearing?
can reach that, if I can reach that, that would be the best thing ever. That
Yo, that
that would
would
be the
be
goal. That would be amazing.
that. Oh my gosh, this might be one of the long con stories I gotta keep track of in the long run. And be like, oh,
Yeah,
Avi, I'm there. I support you. I want to see this. I want to see this go down. I
yeah.
want to see this go down.
Actually, sorry, it was in September. It was in September.
Okay, so so it's just been about half a year. So yeah, about half a year,
Yeah.
year and a half. Okay, okay,
Yeah. So I got a year and a half left to go. And I got a long way to go. Got a long way to go.
and
But
mm-hmm,
I'm pushing out TikToks now.
mm-hmm.
Before I used to not. I am pushing out a new YouTube video. I just sent in to my VOD reviewer. So he is now editing my first ever YouTube video. Um, my next thing right now, I'm talking with Sen about creating my first original song,
Hey, let's
as I
go.
talked about my chat about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a cover right now in the works. Like I am like recording it right now as we talk. As in like
Nice.
I have the song in my head. I've been practicing it for a while, and it's ready to be like actually recorded. I haven't recorded it because I've been busy with school, but when I have time and sitting down and I have time to like edit it and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
my cover will be coming out.
Yo, that's the lot, dude. That's so awesome to hear from you. Just be like, you know what you got to do, and like, there's the
Mhm.
steps there. I see it, and I hear it. I go, this is gonna be awesome. And
Yeah,
all I'm hearing is the concepts. When that stuff comes out, I'm like, yo, I know Amy. I know them. I
I
know
know.
them. I know them. They're on my podcast. I was in their streams. Yo,
Exactly.
yo.
I always like a lot of people. I've said this too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always if again, I'm not a clout chasing person. I just don't. No, I'm not like I do streaming for fun at the moment.
Right.
And it's not a job for me, but when
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a job, I will still go back to the days where I would find like I would go back to the people who came up with me and like helped me become who I was. So if you guys don't grow, oh fuck, I'm bringing you in. There's gonna be collabs where you're gonna be playing with like super high end people, and I'm bringing you in and say fuck it, I don't care.
Yo, that would be awesome. That would be
It's
awesome
like,
to
oh
see
yeah,
that.
playing with like Amelie, and just like, yeah, I'm really like Neon into this.
Oh
See how
god.
this goes.
Oh god. If
You
that
know, we're playing
happens,
Lethal Company, and I just want to have we have like a couple big streamers and we have a couple small streamers, put them all together,
yo,
network, and have fun.
if that happens, I'll hold you to it. Maybe. I won't. I'm not gonna cloud
Maybe.
chase, but maybe I
But,
ha.
the reason why I say that is like one of my favorite things was like I I was watching a TikToker a while ago, and I'm forgetting how to pronounce her name, but she went from having like a couple, like only 10,000 followers, and Amelie liked her content so much that she invited her on to her content, and now she's like on with them all the time.
Oh.
And so it really shows like if you have what it takes
Mhm.
and show that you want to do content creation and you are like pushing for it, people will start to notice.
I see, I see. I mean, if you're putting that much effort into it, I feel like, what you put in hopefully gives back to you what you get out of it later.
Oh yeah,
It's
100%.
because it's not just like a one-time push, right? It's about that consistency
Oh yeah,
to
100%.
be able to continue working because it's obviously, maybe someone can luck out and drop a song and be like, oh, it's a one-hit wonder, right?
Yeah.
But to be
It's
able
the
to.
consistency after. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the motivation versus discipline argument. That's how I see it. Motivation
Mhm.
gets you started, discipline is what keeps you going. Um and that's its own different concept in it. But for all of that, right? That's
Mhm.
so interesting. And to hear that story of yours, to be like, okay, so you've got like your initial plan a plan of attack. You got your
Mhm.
blueprints, you got your foundation going. I'm like, and you know, that's only really happened in what I would say the past year,
2 months?
2 months. Oh my god. Oh
2
my
months?
god.
Yeah,
Two.
cuz I did my old job cuz I was a co-op. So
Mm-hmm.
I ended my job and then I moved into my new apartment, and now I'm like finally settled in. I'm like, you know what? It's time to do my it's time to do content. On
Nice.
top of school. It's actually funny because I have a social media marketing class,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to pick like a fake company or a real company, and I'm just sitting here like, can I just buy VTubing as my company? And I sat there, and she didn't know what it was, and I turned it in, and she was like, what is VTubing? What's streaming?" And I'm like, "Oh god. Oh, do I have to tell my professor that I'm a fucking VTuber? Oh god." And it doesn't
Oh
help that I'm
god.
also a lewd VTuber, so I'm like, "Oh god."
Oh no. Oh no.
To this day, she has not found my stream. So, cro- crossing my fingers, she never finds it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I basically most of my assignments are based off of my actual VTubing and stuff like
Oh.
that.
Nice, nice. Is that just like semester class, whole year,
Yeah,
quarter?
no, semester. Yeah,
Okay.
semester.
Got it. Okay. Well, because of that, I was like, of hearing your projects, I'm like, okay, AV, would you? would you want to work on potential voice acting projects or collabs with me
Yeah, of course.
particularly? Oh, let's
Oh,
go.
100%.
Let's go. Let's go.
If you give me stuff, let's go. I'm done. I'm down.
Hey,
100%.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Anything to put in my into my portfolio, 100%.
Nice. Cool. Cuz
Yeah.
because it's
One thing
like
I'm coming out with, which I'm excited for, is coming out with my first ASMR roleplay thing. You know those things on like YouTube that people go to for
yeah,
like mental stability and stuff like that. I'm recording one right now as we speak. I have a
nice.
speech script done, and I will probably releasing it in about a month, maybe 2 weeks.
That's a big difference in time. But hey, all for it. I'm all for it. That's
Well, it
awesome.
depends. It depends.
Yeah, hey, as long as you're happy with it and you release it, that's what's more important.
100%.
There you go. And so the reason why like I get so excited, right? Because when I talk to people who have more niche type of hobbies and interests that that are the same as mine, I'm like, dude, voice acting, dude. There's like so many people I've met, but like none of them would want to do voice acting, right? Like as
Yeah,
far as in terms of YouTubers, like I don't know that many people, but I wouldn't say out of everyone I know, it's like it's not many of them are into it and more or less would want to do it, you know?
that's
And
so true.
so there's that thing. And I'm like, very similar experience was when I was shoutcasting and commentating for one of the VTuber cross community tournaments, and I met
Mhm.
someone new and they commentated very similar to me. And I went, and I talked to him. I'm like, you get it. He was like, yeah, you get it. And then we just vibed super hard. And then when
Mhm.
we finally got to cast a game together, it was honestly one of the most fun and fluid cats I've ever done with
Oh,
anybody.
100%.
So I'm just like, when someone has a very similar um sense of hobbies and passion, I'm like, I might not be as dedicated, or and my craft might not be as well honed, but I'm just like, you get it. You get it. I'm like, oh, I would want to work at least on a small project, even if it's like short, because it's like just to have that little taste of to work on that similar hobby with someone would be so
Mhm.
fun and exciting in my eyes, in my head. And I'm just like, might as well ask now. Shoot the shot.
Yeah,
Shoot the shot. Let's go. Let's voice
shoot the
act.
shot.
Shoot the shot.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, um, yeah. Other side content which I lewd.
Lewd. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. How do I say this without being in trouble with YouTube? Let's just say very questionable sounds, um,
Oh,
and stuff like that. Mhm.
got you. So like, let's say,
On top of like just normal voice acting, but on top of for lewd content.
right. So let's say, certain sounds, they're going into the wild, right? Is
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
yeah? Okay, yeah, I know.
Mhm.
I
Don't
know. Oh,
worry.
I know about it. If there anyone else doesn't get it, I get it. I
I mean,
been there.
mhm. Mhm.
Got you, fam, got you.
I got my blushing up. You know, a little lewd. Anyway,
Oh man, I wouldn't say
you really need to meet Avi soon. She's a rare indigo.
rare to go, man. All right, I'll match AV energy. Trust me.
Oh, good. Oh, really?
I wouldn't say
Oh, is that a
completely, man.
challenge?
No. I'm not
Oh,
saying
is
it's a
that a
challenge.
challenge?
I was, but
Uh-oh.
let me finish. Let me finish. I'll say I'll match the energy as best I can. I might get flustered myself. Yeah, I don't have a blush on this model because it's a very basic model. But I'm just saying,
Mm.
I do my best.
Oh, you.
I'm getting used to, I'm with I've raised up the boys, my homeboys. It's very
Yeah.
bromancy. We talk about stuff like that. But then when it's someone new and they
Mhm.
start slinging start slinging their riz, I'm like, okay, you caught me off guard. You caught me off guard because I'm not used to doing said. Oh God, there's the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello there, Neon.
Hi. How you doing?
It's nice to meet you finally.
Hi. Nice to meet you finally as well.
Hmm.
Was this the challenge that brought you out, Avi? Was this the
Oh
energy
yeah,
match?
it was the energy match. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Hmm.
There we go.
Don't worry. I can do something else to you later though, to match the energy.
Oh, it won't be matched. It won't be matched. To
Hmm.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So, and in that case, in terms of, and we'll wrap this up at the in the next couple minutes. But you
Hmm.
know, this is a question for Avi. Since you're
Yeah.
already here, and we're gonna get into this more. Since we talking about loot, let's talk about some couple loot things. We did tease this when we originally were talking in
Oh,
DMs.
hmm.
Right. So,
That was me, by the way, that brought those up. But yeah.
of course, I mean, I wouldn't at this point now. I don't question it. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But for you,
Hmm.
top or bottom?
Oh, I'm a top down Don.
Okay. Not a power bottom, uh,
D is the bottom in the relationship.
as we've heard earlier. Of course, the protector, the
Mhm.
more dominant one. Of course, it makes sense.
Mhm.
Nice. All right. So, as far as for you, AB, since you're out
Mhm.
and you're flirting, right? What are some of your most favorite things to say to people to either catch them off guard, riz them up, make them blush? Because I remember during
Mhm.
the Fall Girls collab, you got Sora messed up when you got into
Yeah.
that was real. I was there for that. I was like, yo, that's funny as hell.
Yeah,
I
just for
was-
calling her my strawberry.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Uh, Another one like to do is like, "Oh, don't worry, baby. I'll make you scream later."
I like that one. I like that one.
Mhm. So like if they're getting flustered, just like talking to them slowly and saying, "You good girl? I want to
Mm,
make sure that you talk very loudly for me."
mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nice. So for you, right? Is it
Yeah.
always going on the offensive? Is it always be
Mhm.
the dom, never submit?
To tell the truth, no. It's always it depends on the person,
Of course.
but most of the time I like to be the aggressor,
Mm,
just being able to leave my mark.
of course. Of course.
Mhm.
Who as someone who would like to dom, leaving your mark. It's important.
Mhm.
It's important. It's the primal
Mhm.
urges.
It is.
Okay.
Why do you think I leave fire marks on your skin?
Oh. Oh, fire play.
Mm. Yeah, well,
Oh.
my fire is more pleasure based than burn based.
Mm. Gotcha.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Is it like a hot candle wax? Stuff like that.
It's just like the how do I explain this without being super lewd?
It's okay. Just say it. Just say it. I don't care. I
You know,
swear.
like the
At this point,
vibrations. You
yeah.
know, like like if you do like a simple vibration thing, just imagine that and just buzzing, and that's it.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense to
Mhm.
me. And then for you, all right, we're gonna lean into
Mhm.
this. We already
Oh, of
swear on this.
course.
We're okay with being plus 18. Hopefully, I'm not gonna put the tag on this because if people watch all the way through, then that's on them. At this point,
Yeah.
I'll give a warning. If you're listening at this point, if it's not already obvious, this is for adults. I don't think kids are listening to this because I
Mm-mm.
also don't put this video is not made for kids on my YouTube tag when releasing videos
Oh,
anyways.
yeah.
So for you, what
Mhm.
is your favorite form of content? Favorite tags?
Favorite tags.
Favorite
Ooh,
tags, categories. Well, this is how we're gonna wrap this up, and then this is how we
of
tease
course.
people to show up to the post podcast show if they do watch the VOD on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Favorite tag.
Favorite tags.
Gotta have to be bondage.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like that there's like
Number
no
1.
no comparison. That's easily number one for you.
Oh, 100% number 1.
Mm.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
bonded.
That's pretty much it, even though, D is more bisexual when I'm more lesbian vibes.
Hmm.
So, I have my preferred.
Let's see. Evan, I like watching people deep dive into movies I've already seen and overanalyzing them on YouTube. No one's doing a deep dive on my content, but the plus, if they're gonna do a deep dive, it's not gonna be on me. It's gonna be for Avi here
Did you
anyways.
just did you just say did you almost stutter and say deep fuck?
No, I didn't. Did I? What did
Good.
it sound like? Is that what it sounded like? I was gonna say. That's not.
Yeah,
No, I actually I don't put those words together normally anyways.
I know.
So it's not even a Freudian slip if it were to be those
I
combinations.
know. It's fair.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I want to see them overanalyze AV. I just joined. What are y'all talking about? Yeah, we're talking
Uh,
about adult content. Heaven,
that's adult content.
18 plus. So
You just missed D, which is the kind of more say so part of it.
definitely more. I wouldn't say reserved, but more restrained. I would say, in terms
Yeah.
of how they approach topics like this. So then for you, uh has how many people have you swayed to swoon to your will so far? Whether it's VTubers, and I would say
Mm.
more so on Twitch, on VTubers. How many people have you gotten to bend to your whim? In a simple way to state that. I don't need
Well,
you
one
to
of
name
them's already
names, but
I
yeah.
mean, one of them's already talking in chat, which I will point out.
Oh,
Um,
oh, chat. I see.
actually, there's 2 of them, if they're still here. Um, what is technically my body?
You can give an estimate, no worries.
I would say 30.
Oh my god, what a risk. God.
Yes,
Uh
of course it's you, V. You're such a good girl.
oh, there you go, Violet. There you go. Good girl. Nice. So, damn, 30, that's pretty good. And that number's only gonna grow.
Oh,
I
it's
feel
growing
it's
already.
growing, yeah. You know. And I'm sure that's
I
not the
mean,
only thing
did
that's
you
growing.
Uh-huh.
Not for
I
me,
mean,
you know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
That's fair.
I'm
Yeah.
still looking at chat, by the
Oh, of course.
way.
No,
Of course.
IO was it just added to that list, as you saw.
Hmm.
And then it was super funny because Sora was like my first like streamer, like canon flirting,
Hmm.
I guess. But I flirt with everyone off stream, so
Nice. Okay. I
because
hmm
for me, it's the whole point of flirting is to give other people the opportunity to feel good about themselves.
Mm.
So they have more confidence in themselves more than they should. Because when they get flirted at, they feel better.
Facts. As someone who doesn't get flirted to, other than the boys, which we all flirt with
Yeah.
each other, that doesn't count. But when actually getting flirted to, whether you playfully or romantically, I'm just like, oh my, good golly gosh.
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what else was I gonna say for that? At this point, I was like, man, I'm just gonna schedule a collab with you and just be like, let's see, drag like Sora in here or
Oh my
Luna
gosh, you
Void and
would
be like,
die.
yeah, and be like, oh
Oh, Luna
man,
too.
yeah, I know. It's funny because you know how you said like That's how you first. I don't even remember the word you said. Your first.
Like streamer flirting
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
interaction. Yeah.
yeah. It's funny because not canonically, but sort of canonically, not lore wise, but canonically, because
Hmm.
when Sora was on the podcast for the first time a couple weeks ago, I would say like 3 weeks ago. Was it
Hmm.
4 weeks ago? Something like that. Um, Sora was like, "Oh, on the spot, me and Sora have now become siblings." It came out of
Oh
nowhere,
shoot.
and I accepted it. And I'm like, "All right, cool." But and then obviously with Sora and Luna, they're like married apparently. So then Luna by default has become my sister-in-law, and now I'm just like, okay, I'd like to see you tease
No
them.
way.
I'm just like that.
Oh, I know. It's when Sora hears my voice, she just starts blushing
Dude,
up a storm. She
yes.
told me during the Fall Girls collab that she got a blushing emote just for me. I was like, "Cutie, I can make you do a lot of other things than just blushing."
Yeah, exactly. No, it's funny that you say that because when I had Sora on the podcast and obviously in the post podcast show and first time guests, and you'll do this later as a teaser, that first time guests do RR, and I give the option for me to join them in solidarity so they don't feel alone that they're doing it by themselves. They're like, "Oh, Sora was like caught off guard even just by my own simple
Mhm.
ara." I'm just like, "Wow. Wow, Sora, that's it's fairly easy." I
It's
think
very easy to fluster her, but
yeah,
when
it
you
is.
like, it's a constant fluster like I do,
She's
she's in
got
the
she's
gutter.
done. She's done.
Yeah.
She's gone. That's why it's so funny. I'm like, Sora, I think so far out of the people I've interacted with in terms of VTubers, probably the one that, like you said, the easiest to fluster with stuff like this. So pretty funny. Pretty funny.
Yo, that's it. What do you mean, Heaven? You doing okay?
Yeah. Evan, I told you this
I
is this is more slightly adult content. Yeah, just look at AV here. See, look at that. Even put the hood on for you. Yeah, we chilling.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
chilling.
yeah, we're chilling.
Mm.
Of course. Wonderful, wonderful. See, you might have gotten a 31 right there, right there. Heaven, go follow that. Go follow AV. Maybe you'll get them to see
Ah.
them in chat. But yeah, I mean, let's just wrap this up. We'll get more into some more potential lewd content in the post podcast
Mhm.
show. We will continue to watch other stuff. If you have anything like media you want to share, we can watch Amelie clips. I watched Amelie like when Amelie debuted as Monarch, and then I found Sayu. I went,
Mhm.
yo, their dynamic is so fucking funny, and I've just like been watching
Yeah.
some of their shorts content recently. I'm like,
Oh my
yo,
god. Have you seen the fucking Shigo thing that she did? You need to look at her
Shiego.
Twitter.
Oh my
The
god, I was
we
dying. I
need to
watched all of
you
it.
need
That
to
shit was so funny. I
did you
watched
watch her Twitter? Did you watch? Okay, we need to look at this
Wait,
later.
okay, show me.
This
Yeah,
is
show
for
me the
podcast.
Twitter. Show me the content. Now I want to see the Twitter. I've only seen the stream clips. I've not seen the Twitter.
Okay, I'm back. I'm
Okay,
back now.
okay. Can I get an RR? Violet, you will. You'll get into post podcast show
You'll
momentarily,
get both. You get both from me and Avy for sure.
and maybe me if you want it. But I'm not. That's not the person you're asking for. But yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna wrap this up. We're gonna thank you for Av. D.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on today's podcast episode. I appreciate you having on here. Do you
Of
have any
course.
like uh plugs, social
Mm.
media? Not that kind of plug. AV, stop it. Um um things you want to promote, obviously like your channels in my is going to be in the stream title of my right now. I'll link your
Yeah.
channel on Twitch into the YouTube video, so if you're watching on YouTube and watch all of it, or check them out, it'll be in the description of the YouTube video. So like, or any like lightning round questions, things you want to say, last thoughts before we move on to the post podcast show.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
So basically, just plug in my channel is just twitch.tv/AviCatBird. Same thing for YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok, which I'm very happy about. I'm a consistent across the board. Um, but yeah, those are my main content things. I will be trying to stream at least 4 times to 3 times a week on Twitch, and soon to be co-streaming on YouTube. So
Ooh, co-streams.
co-streaming, Switch are gonna be nice. On top of that, just um, keep on lookout for content coming very soon. If you join my Discord, you get up to date information about when those are coming out. On top of just general projects that I'll be working on and stuff that are gonna be unveiling very soon.
There you go. There you go. And then, of course, I don't know how near in the future, but hopefully we'll have some. I'll have some collabs, whether it's content or streams and games with Avi, because I don't know
Yeah.
all the games that Avi plays, but we'll figure it
Oh,
out.
I played so many fucking games.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's something we can talk about in
Oh,
the post
100%.
podcast show. So, with that said, I mean, anything else? Any lightning round questions? Things you want to say about anything?
No, that's it.
All
I
right.
don't have anything.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, with that said, everyone's watching on Twitch. Thank you for watching all the way through. If you're watching on YouTube, comment what your favorite tag is. You know what that means.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that means, wow, I'm surprised you don't know what that means. But
I
yeah,
mean, they're just pure. That's it.
yeah. At this point, yeah, good job, good job. Yeah, because check them out. With that said, thanks for watching all the way through. We'll be back for podcasts next week. I think next week we're actually doing, let's say, a double header, but we're definitely going to be trying to do 2 episodes next week. One on Valentine's Day, so we're going to do our.
Let's
I think it's going to
go.
be a, what year is it? 2018. Our 7th annual.
Ooh,
Is this 7th annual
fun.
Valentine's Day podcast episode? So we'll figure this out how we do it. And then followed by that Friday is going to be Luna Void's first podcast episode as well on the 16th. With that said, yeah, we're going to stick around if you're still here on Twitch. We're going to do some RRs, watch some other content on stream. With that said, everyone say bye, YouTube.
Bye-bye. Bye, YouTube. Thanks for check. Where
you were,
check
you
this
had
out.
it. You had it. Then it
I
wasn't
had
there.
it.
You had it.
I was working so hard not to stumble at all, and then I failed.